Hey, juniors, this is Mr. Kais. Hey, we're getting down to the bitter end here of this fourth quarter and the bitter end of your junior year at Monticello High School. A couple things quick. First of all, I know that this has been unusual and it's been really difficult for us all. To Kill a Mockingbird is such a great book, and to be able to only kind of go through it virtually and through Canvas using modules without really a lot of live instruction and in class discussions, um, it hasn't been an ideal situation. But I am happy with the kind of work that you guys have come through with, and we're gonna finish it up. Okay. As you can see on my screen here, and I'll see if I can pull up my mouse here. We'll highlight clicks and do this. So we are to the last two modules, and I'm going to publish them both for the 4th through the 11th, which is this upcoming week, and then to finish the school year, the 12th through the 20th. Make known that Wednesday, May 20th is the last day of basically anything. That's the last day you can turn in missing assignments. It's the last day that I'll accept any of this work. And we're going to talk about what I expect you to do to finish up the school year here with English 11. We're basically going to start pre-writing an essay. Okay, we're going to pre-write an essay, a final essay, and then you're going to take a final exam. You really have two major assignments left with two minor assignments, and I'll talk about those in just a moment. Okay, two discussions. Let's talk about the two discussions first and foremost. Okay, they're called Essay Prep 1 and Essay Prep 2. You can see them right here, Essay Prep 1, Essay Prep 2. In fact, when you see it, it'll be like this. Essay Prep 1, Essay Prep 2. Now, Essay Prep 1 is a discussion. And what I'd like you to do is answer these two questions, 2 to 3 paragraphs per question in the discussion post. You don't have to comment on other discussions. You just have to answer these questions. And these questions are going to help you kind of brainstorm for your final essay. First of all, you're going to look at this conversation down here at the bottom between Jem and Scout. And these are the page numbers, depending if you're on the PDF or the hardcover copy of the book. But Jem says to Scout, with a question mark, I've got it all figured out now. I thought about it a lot lately, and I figured it out. There's 4 kinds of folks in the world. There's the ordinary kind like us and the neighbors. There's the kind like the Cunninghams out in the woods, the kind like the Yules down at the dump, and the Negroes. Scout, our very innocent and very unbiased narrator, in only a way Scout Finch can do, says, nah, Jem, I think there's just one kind of folks. Folks. This book, written by Harper Lee, attacks the civil liberties or the lack of civil liberties, the lack of civil rights, the difference between a white man and a black man, and so on and so forth, and the gaps in our society's thinking at this time. And here is her strongest point through the eyes of a 10-year-old here. No, there's just one kind of folks, just folks. So the first question, how does Scout's response shape their personality that Harper Lee wants her star character to exhibit? Okay, that personality of being unbiased, of being pure, of seeing the best in people and the best in society. And then I want you to answer this. Do you agree with Scout or Jem? And I want you to yes or no and explain. Do you believe Jem or Scout? Which one, do you believe that there are actually 4 kinds of people? Or is Scout right? Is there just folks? I want you to think about the Yules, the Cunninghams. I want you to think about Boo Radley. I want you to think about all the different kinds of people, even Mrs. Dubose that you learn, that Jem has interactions with, these different types of people and their problems and everything. This book illustrates all kinds of people and their problems. Are we all the same? Or are we in categories? That's the question I'm asking you. Are we in categories? Are we not the same? Who's right, Jem or Scout? Okay, so that's essay prompt number 1, 2 to 3 paragraphs in the discussion prompt. Essay prep number 2. There's this quote here that in the book. This is by Harper Lee. People generally see what they look for and hear what they listen for. They see what they look for and hear what they listen for. I want to know what point she's trying to make, Harper Lee is trying to make, and how does this statement relate to the actions, beliefs, and sentiment of the time? I want you to link back on what you've learned about the civil rights period. Think back what you've learned in U.S. history. Okay, what segregation is the word of the day during this time. Okay, separate but equal. Think about this. People see what they look for and hear what they listen for. And I promise you, if you think about your life and your interaction with people, you'll notice that this sentiment is still probably very much true. Answer each question, 2 to 3 paragraphs. By the way, this was a comment made by Judge Taylor in chapter 17, if you're looking for context. Okay, so that's the essay prep. Get through the essay prep. Then let's look. I have a couple example essays. We're going to be writing a final essay. You saw that coming. You knew we were going to be writing a final essay in this class because that's what we do. And I have a couple of examples, but I'd really like to go over the essay prompt before I show you the examples. Okay. You have two drafts due. You have a first draft due by May 15th, which is a Friday. That is a week from this last Friday. No, 2 weeks from last Friday. Okay. So you have a final draft due on May 15th, or first draft due on May 15th. So you have roughly 2 weeks to get a first draft done. And then you have a final draft due on May 20th, which is the next Wednesday after the 15th. Okay. So let's look at the prompt here, though. Okay. Let's look at the prompt. The prompt is worth, by the way, 50 points. The first draft is worth 50 points. And it's a participation grade only. If you complete the essay and turn it in for a first draft, 50 points. Okay. And it's a guaranteed 50 points. And it'll help you get ready for your final. Okay. So here's the prompt. Let's take a look at it very carefully. Guys, I'm not going to be in class to help you walk through this. So please, this is the important part of the video. Mark this up, okay? Here are your instructions. You're going to discuss all 3 prompts. There's 1, 2, 3. Courage, empathy, and loss of innocence. Those are your 3 prompts. You remember we did this something very similar with All Quiet on the Western Front where there were 3 prompts. You're going to do the same thing, okay? You will break these up using subtitles. There'll be different sections of your essay, so you'll have an introduction. You'll have a section on courage, empathy, and loss of innocence, and then a conclusion, okay? So here we go. Here's the first prompt, courage. Atticus says to Jem that he wants his son to see what real courage is instead of getting the idea that courage is a man with a gun in his hand. Quoted that from the book, page 112. Is Atticus Finch truly courageous in defending Tom Robinson? Is he a true social hero? Is Atticus Finch, A, doing what he's supposed to do, or B, is he really trying to create change? Is he really courageous in doing what he's doing? Okay. Number 2, empathy. If you don't know what empathy means, Google it, but the definition is right here. It's the ability to understand and share feelings with another. Okay. You can't empathize unless you truly understand you've gone through something. So for example, if you've lost a family member, then you can empathize with someone else that has lost a family member. If you haven't, then all you can do is sympathize with them because you can't truly understand and share those feelings if you haven't experienced that. So empathy is sharing. Important word there, sharing those feelings. So look at this quote. According to Atticus, you never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. Okay. There's all kinds of people in this book that you should consider when we talk about you don't understand them. For example, Tom Robinson, who is convicted of a crime he did not commit, and then loses his life in the process. Mayla Ewell, who is a victim in her own mind, in her own sort of abuse from her father and her social standing in Macomb. You have Mrs. Dubose, who is a morphine addict. You have the Cunninghams. You have Boo Radley. Okay, all these people you don't really understand because until you see it from their viewpoint, It's hard to understand. Here's the question. How is this unique understanding toward others demonstrated or learned by characters such as Atticus, Scout, Jem, Dill, or Miss Maudie? And consider the Yule family, Tom Robinson, Mrs. Dubose, and Walter Cunningham. Okay. Can you empathize? Can they empathize? Do they learn to empathize? Really focus on Scout right there. Okay. And the number 3, loss of innocence. Does Scout lose that unbiased, pure, childlike perspective through her experience with Boo Radley, with Bob Ewell, with Tom Robinson? Does she lose her innocence? With age and experience comes knowledge, the realization of harsh realities, and finally, wisdom and understanding. Trace the narrator's Scout journey from innocence to understanding in a thoughtful essay. What does she understand in the end that she isn't aware of in the beginning? Now, 11th graders. 11th grade has come full circle. Okay. The very first assignment, big assignment we did, if you remember, was the narrative, your coming of age narrative, where you talked about that transition becoming from a child to an adult. You've already done this for yourself. And now it's time to try to put yourself in Scout's shoes and understand, did she make that transition during the course of this book? Okay. So I find this prompt to be very symbolic of your 11th grade experience as you've transitioned yourself from a 16 to a 17 going on 18-year-old, from a teenager to an adult. This is very appropriate, time appropriate for you as a student. So use some of your own understanding and own perspective to answer this question. What does Scout understand now that she didn't understand in the beginning? Okay. This is the big one. This is the one I'm grading with very, very close eyes. Okay. The requirements, 1,500 words, Times New Roman, a bibliography of just one source, and that's the book. Cite the book. Okay. No annotations needed. And it's due Wednesday by 11:59, May 20th, 11:59 p.m. Okay. So that's the prompt. Here's a couple example essays. This is an example essay turned in from 2018. A couple things. Notice we have a last name and page number at the top. Okay. Good MLA formatting here. We have a title. We have an introduction. And then we have subtitles. Remember, those can be in bold. Subtitles can be in bold. We have our 3 subtitles: courage, empathy, and loss of innocence. Okay. Perfect subtitles, and then an in-text, a works cited page right here at the end. Okay. This student has 3, but you only need 1. You just need 1 right there. The book. Okay. Here's example essay number 2. Guys, read through these example essays. They might give you some good ideas, things to discuss that you didn't consider. Okay. We've got the student's last name here with page numbers. We have an introduction. We have our subtitle 1. We have courage. Subtitle 2, empathy. And subtitle 3, loss of innocence. Feel free to change those up if you like or not. Okay. And then we have a works cited page, which is exactly the book. Okay. So you have two examples to look at. So look at those. Again, this first draft is going to be due the 15th, the final draft on the 20th. Okay. First draft due is on the 15th, final draft on the 20th. Okay. Those example essays are right here as well. You don't have to look through it through this prompt. You can look through it on these pages here in modules. Please read through those. It'll be very helpful. Okay. And then down here on the second module, the 12th through the 20th, you have the final exam, which let me give you kind of the word on that. 101 points, 2 attempts is all I'm going to give you. And it's going to take the latest score. Okay. I've been pretty kind about giving you multiple attempts on these last quizzes, but this one I'm going to limit to 2, and you have to take the latest score. So if you do good on the first one, don't take it a second time. Be smart about it. Okay. So that's the final exam. And then this is where you'll turn in your, this is where you'll turn in your final essay here in modules right here. Okay. So that is basically how we're going to end this class. The minute you're done with the book, bring it in. Okay, bring in your book. Make sure you bring in your all quiet too. I've had several students do that. Bring in your book, and so you don't get fined for the book. And then have a great summer. We'll talk again. This won't be the last video. I'll make a video next week with answering some questions and things that we have to talk about, maybe some more ideas. But get working on this. Okay, these final 2 modules are going to be key to your grade in this quarter. Do well. And if you have any questions, let me know.